Moving human mass vertically against gravity is easily among the most mechanically demanding tasks the human body performs. This breakdown is for clinical awareness. Viewers must consult a healthcare practitioner before attempting high-intensity physical protocols. Climbing stairs is distinct from walking on an incline. On a slope, momentum assists the gait. On a stairway, every step requires the body to lift its own weight from a dead stop. Because this mechanical demand is so researchers have long utilized staircases as a tool for benchmarking human endurance and cardiovascular limits. Cardiologists have used step tests since the 1940s, relying on the predictable stress of the ascent to detect underlying coronary artery disease. By altering the stepping cadence, a climber redistributes the physiological load, shifting the primary metabolic demand between the skeletal muscles and the cardiovascular system. Isolating the exact biomechanics of the quadriceps and calf complexes reveals why different cadences produce such divergent internal states. Mastering this force-cadence relationship provides a specific, programmable method for VO2 max enhancement and systemic lactate clearance. An athlete who understands these mechanics transforms a standard stairway into a sophisticated metabolic ergometer. Ascending stairs requires a movement pattern known as triple extension, which recruits nearly every major muscle group in the lower extremity. In this kinetic chain, the quadriceps femoris drives knee extension, while the calf complex facilitates plantar flexion at the ankle. To see the biomechanical transition, we must look at the calf. The gastrocnemius is biarticular, crossing both the knee and the ankle, while the soleus crosses only the ankle. Skipping a step, a double-step climb, requires deep knee flexion prior to the push-off phase. This posture creates active insufficiency. Because the gastrocnemius is shortened across two flexed joints, it cannot generate significant tension, forcing the soleus and the quadriceps to bear the torque. Contrast this with a single-step climb, where the climber executes a high knee movement without skipping steps. This variation heavily recruits the psoas major for hip flexion and the gluteus maximus for the subsequent extension, avoiding the insufficiency of the calf. Increasing the vertical displacement of the thigh at a higher frequency demands a massive increase in venous return to oxygenate the gluteal muscles. While double stepping shifts the load to the soleus and quads due to joint angles, high-cadence single stepping taxes the hip flexors and cardiac output. These mechanics allow for a specific training protocol, alternating between 3 to 4 floors of double steps and 6 to 7 floors of single steps. The double step phase is characterized by a low cadence but a high torque demand per stride. Under Henneman's size principle, the force required to lift the body 2 steps triggers the recruitment of easily fatigable, fast-twitch muscle fibers. As the contraction intensifies, the intramuscular pressure rises. Eventually, this pressure exceeds the arterial perfusion pressure that delivers oxygen to the muscle. This imbalance transiently occludes blood flow, trapping metabolic waste products and inducing local hypoxia and lactic acid buildup. The shift to the single-step phase immediately reverses this environment, moving the body toward a high-cadence, low-torque state. Taking smaller steps lowers the peak force required, dropping the internal pressure. But as the cadence increases, the heart rate rapidly ascends. The sudden drop in pressure initiates rhythmic muscle flushing, restoring local blood flow to the previously hypoxic tissues. The cardiovascular system must now rapidly clear the trapped metabolites, resulting in an exponential rise in heart rate, even as local muscle tension decreases. The protocol essentially creates a localized occlusion interval, followed immediately by a cardiovascular clearance sprint. When this variable cadence is applied consistently, climbing 8 to 10 floors several times a week, the adaptations become systemic. The volume triggers excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, meaning the body continues burning energy at an elevated rate long after the session. Research on sedentary subjects shows that structured stair climbing can increase VO2 max by up to 17% over an 8-week period. This VO2 max adaptation is a direct reflection of the body becoming more efficient at managing metabolic equivalents, or METs. Hitting 10 METs during exercise is linked to low rates of early death, 1% or less per year, compared to those who max out at 8 METs. For endurance athletes, this high-volume concentric climbing mimics the mechanical demand of loaded hill repeats. It supports the lactate sink hypothesis, training non-primary muscles to efficiently handle and clear systemic lactate. Conditioning these muscles to process high acidity delays blood lactate accumulation, improving overall economy. This buildup of a localized metabolic buffer transfers to improved endurance capacity without the impact damage associated with high-volume running. Because stair climbing causes such rapid shifts in cardiac output, continuous pulse monitoring is a clinical necessity during the protocol. Monitoring allows the athlete to remain within the intended threshold, typically around 80% of their maximal heart rate. Watch for early warning signs: dizziness, chest pain, or a heart rate that fails to recover during the single-step phases. Form is paramount. One must maintain a neutral, upright spine to ensure the core and lower body, not the lower back, are bearing the load. Full foot contact with each stair is required to properly recruit the gluteus maximus and hamstrings. Climbing exclusively on the balls of the feet shifts the load to the quadriceps, which can increase patellofemoral shear stress over time. There is also a distinction between tools. Gym machines provide concentric-only movement, while real stairs require a controlled eccentric descent. Beginners should note that descending stairs can place several times the body's weight on the joints. Using an elevator to descend can prevent this impact. If this clinical breakdown of vertical training was useful, consider subscribing for more biomechanical analysis. Precise adherence to form and heart rate monitoring ensures that every vertical flight provides a maximum physiological yield while protecting joint integrity.